So, tell us a bit about your upbringing. How did you discover voguing, and did you always know you wanted to dance when you were a kid?
Well, I was born and raised in the Bronx. I still live there, repping it all day. When I was growing up, I loved singing. I loved like the whole superstar thing, but I never thought about dancing. Like dancing was the last thing on my mind. And I did love animals, so I used to always think that I was going to be a veterinarian growing up. And when I was around 14, I was going to a boys and girls club called Kips Bay, and I ran across my first trans mentor, and she was voguing, and I was automatically intrigued, like, what is that? And like a few days later, she came and she brought me a VHS tape. So I went home and popped that tape into my VCR, and I was just like in awe. Like I watched that tape I don't know how many times, back to back to back to back to back. And it's like automatically, it just clicked something in me. I just fell in love with it. When I first started learning how to Vogue, I used it more as a stress reliever. Growing up being trans, and especially 15, 16 years ago, you didn't really know how to identify being trans. They didn't really know that. You grow up and you show signs of femininity, they automatically call you gay and things like that. So, like, when I first found about trans people and I realized, this is who I am, I automatically started living in the clothing, of course, but I felt like society didn't really adapt to it that easy, so I used like voguing to deal with my stress, deal with things that I dealt with when I was my childhood and stuff like that. So when I first started learning how to Vogue, it wasn't more about learning the art, it was more so just expressing myself, which is why I love voguing so much, and it's brought me here.
And in the summer of 2017, you were all over billboards in New York City in Nike's Be True campaign. How was that experience like, and how did that happen?
That was epic. Like still to this day. They reached out to me through email, and I'm like, whatever. I thought it was like some scam, because you would never think, being a dancer, you would never think, especially a voguer, you would never think that they will, make it, like being a dancer, I didn't think that would be seen as an athlete. And when they reached out to me and, they told me what they were gonna do with it, but it didn't really hit me until like I started filming everything, and I realized that they, some brands, they just use you and be like, hey, we just want to use your talent, and then we're gonna put this together, and you just do what you gotta do. No, they actually did their research. They did their research on me. They did their research of on my brand and what I stand for, which is very important. And they found a way to put that together. I didn't know about the voiceover. Like, I knew that they were going to do a voiceover, but I didn't know what the voiceover, like the mood was going to set until I watched the video myself. And then I came into tears like, oh my God, like, because it was so powerful. I wasn't even supposed to have a billboard. It was only supposed to be the campaign. But because it got such a huge impact, they was like, yeah, you deserve a billboard. And the fact that the billboard was on 34th and 7th, I'm like, oh my God, that's like, who would have thought of that? I would have never thought of that.
Yeah. So last year when you were here, you told us about the upcoming show Pose that you were working on, and since then has finally aired. So Pose was groundbreaking in that it features the largest cast of trans actors in leading roles in TV history. What was it like working on the show Pose?
Well, you mean what it is like working on the set of Pose? Because I'm still working. We're working on season 2 right now. We just started last week, but it's been an amazing experience overall. Like, I'm probably one of the most humble people you guys will ever meet. Like, when I got that email itself, I was like, why me? Although I've done so much for Ballroom and so much, my career is based on Ballroom, I was still like, oh wow, me? Like, so huge, Ryan Murphy. And for me, it's always important to be a part of stuff when it's gonna be authentic. So finding out that there was going to be a lot of trans actors, finding out about Janet Mock writing, and finding out about all these trans and LGBT people who were a part of putting it all together, that's what made me say yes. Because I'm quick to tell people no. Like, I'll tell a bitch no in a heartbeat. Because, I have to stay true to myself. That's something that I've always, put on myself, is to stay true to myself. And if I get to places, if I open doors, I do. If I don't, I don't. As long as I know that I didn't lose myself in that path. Is very important. So being a part of Pose, like, it's one thing when you're on set and you're working for choreography, because when I was doing the first season I was doing more choreography, and then they added me on to the cast, later. And I don't get to see much of the storyline until I watch the show myself. So watching the show, it just opened up so many emotions. Lots of positive stuff, of course. And it's just so beautiful how they were able to put it together and how they were able to tell our stories and our struggles through our own people. Yeah. That's so important. Yeah.
And what really struck me is how right they got it, getting all the right people from the right communities to be involved in the creative process. So, yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So before there was any representation of LGBTQ people in media, voguing really was an outlet for marginalized communities. And in recent years, it really seems like diversity has come to the forefront in American society, especially in TV and Hollywood. So I guess from your perspective, what does diversity and representation mean to you in everyday media?
I think it's most important to show the roughness of life and to really shine spotlights on the people who actually made it because of struggle. I think that's why I love Nike, because Nike, they do that. They stick to that. They want people to relate to the artist. They want people to relate to whoever's attached to whatever they put a part of. As far as diversity, I feel like, America should have been a little more open about that years ago. It's still tough to see that now, especially within our own, community of people of color. And it's something that I feel like the more that we work together, the more that we show that it's okay to be diverse and it's okay to live your life and be yourself and live in your life and live in your truth, it'll make the world a little bit easier.
Yeah. And so even though there's been really great progress in Hollywood and in film and TV, unfortunately, politically, recently, there's been some backlashes and unfortunate decisions made from Washington. So in the spirit of Trans Day of Visibility, what do you think LGBTQ allies and community members can do to best support our transgender community?
Fight for us, show us more love. I feel like a lot of times you have allies that do nothing. They talk about how much they love you and stuff like that, but they allow those same people getting hurt or those same people being attacked. I feel like it's all about working. It's not much about the words, it's more about actions. I feel like a lot of times when it comes down to the action, a lot of the allies, they lack that because they're not out there. Like, I mean, there are people that are out there, but when it comes to like, if a trans woman is getting attacked on a train or being harassed, nobody does anything. But half of those people probably know someone who's a part of the LGBT community. So it's all about, protecting ourselves and just finding ways to to stick together, because I feel like even within our own community, it's a lot of drama and a lot of stuff that needs to be worked on. A lot of gay men still look at trans people and they don't they don't think that they're women or men. They still don't see them for who they really are, and it's like that's something that has to work within our own community, because if we're not strong together, then we're gonna crumble easily.
Yeah. All right. We're going to open it up to questions from the audience, if people have any.
I know you're the house mother of House of Amazon. I'm curious on what were your thoughts leading up to creating your own house, and also why did you name it a House of Amazon?
Well, of course, you guys know I'm the Wonder Woman of Vogue. Hello. So I had to name my house after my, my family, the Amazons. Personally, I decided to create my own house because I wanted people to experience the realness of what a house is supposed to be, which is family, unity, love, support, like all that good stuff, where nowadays ballroom has become so, and not because it becomes so mainstream, but because LGBT issues overall have lessened. I feel like now ballroom is more like really, really competition instead of like a place where, okay, I can be myself, where I can't do this outside, So I feel like a lot has been lost within ballroom. A lot of times, like now, a lot of the houses are more like an academy or like an agency kind of. They treat it more like that. There are some houses that are very family oriented, but I wanted my kids to be able to come and experience the realness of it and to actually understand that ballroom is also an extracurricular activity. A lot of people, they come into ballroom and they get lost and they like really want to get it so badly, and then, you know, like they choose certain paths that don't take them to the right places. So I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be someone who has done so much in the scene but still has time to, you know, to spew positivity through her kids. And it's been 3 years now, and I'm like super excited with my kids because I feel like I don't have to deal with no egos. I don't have to deal with like no shade or like extra things that you go into ballroom and it's like that's all they are about.
So before we wrap it up, I just have a quick lightning round of quick questions and answers. So, favorite food?
Favorite food? Ooh. Everything, she is. Well, I'm gonna say Japanese ramen. I love some ramen.
Favorite memory?
Favorite memory? Oh.
Or memories?
The first time that I stepped on the stage for America's Best Dance Crew. I feel like that. Well, the first time that I stepped on stage when we were gonna perform, the first day where they had all the crews out there, that was my biggest memory. Cause standing out there was like the first time that the people seen us. So we're standing there, and then you like hear people in the crowd screaming my name, and I'm like, oh, they know who I am. It hasn't even aired yet. I was like, oh my
God. Person from past or present you most want to meet?
Who?
Person, anybody from the past.
Oh, past or present. Oh.
That you want to meet.
Besides Mariah Carey, because that's my girl. Michael Jackson.
And best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, my grandmother. She always says I'd rather be poorly accompanied. No, I'd rather be alone than poorly accompanied. That's me all day.
Yeah. And lastly, piece of advice for us?
Oh, piece of advice. You gotta believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So confidence is the key to success. Yeah.
And with that, thank you so much, Leiomy.
Thank
it was
you,
amazing
guys.
having you.